And start the stream. Welcome to Horsin Around, a Dumbass Cast. I'm your host, Nick Mercadante, and with me today I have three gamer guests, if you would like to introduce yourselves.
I thought we were doing the gamer time.
I thought you guys were gonna do it too. I just had like any point in there you could have. You guys fucked your own joke.
It's failed. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Like Beekman gave the idea of.
No, I planned this.
Of having everybody scream gamer time while I was trying to do the standard intro, and I said,
"No, you didn't, Murky."
I literally was like, "Yeah, sure, do it," and then they just did it. So they played me.
What are you talking about?
That
did not happen. That did not happen.
Okay. Well, would you guys actually like to introduce yourselves for our audience today?
All right. I'm Beekman.
Mm-hmm.
I play video games sometimes.
I'm Kobe. I play video games sometimes as well.
Nice.
And I'm Gamer Time.
Yeah, nice. Mr. Gamer Time himself. So we're going to get right into it, I suppose. Game of the Year Awards is happening, or the Game Awards, hosted by Mr. Jeff Keighley, is happening on December 10th, which is only 5 days away. So I thought, to beat them to the punch, and be the real breaking news on the best, objectively the best games of the year, we could steal from their nominees and then talk about our own picks for Game of the Year. So I guess to start off, we could go through. Have you guys all looked at the Game Awards nominees for this year?
Yes,
I have.
I'm up in front of me right now to refresh my memory.
Maybe do we want to just start with Game of the Year and just like quickly go over like what we think of the picks?
Let's just go in the order. These are listed on the website.
Okay.
It'd be easier.
Yeah. So Game of the Year, I'll just list them out real quick. Nominees are Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2. So what do you guys think? I think
a lot of games I did not play.
Yeah. Same.
I played a fair bit of them. I could tell you the ones I would cross out right away.
Is it Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Cross out Animal Crossing. That game wouldn't be if it wasn't for the state of the world, in my opinion, Animal Crossing wouldn't have been as big as it was.
But I think that's like something that is valid consideration. Like you have. I think these games.
It was pretty highly anticipated. People love Animal Crossing. What I will say against Animal Crossing is like a lot of people who are longtime fans of Animal Crossing, both in my circles and like in the game's discourse at large, out of like a pretty like some fundamental like there was some stuff that like they didn't jive with about the game this year and that they preferred.
It weirdly seems like, and maybe this is just for Animal Crossing and Pokemon, but like those two games, both of them had recent entries where I think a common complaint was that they were getting like they were overusing the formula and they were just banking on people like, you know, going frothing at the mouth for just the same thing again.
The Animal Crossing, I think it's more that they just like they did make some changes and then like the changes were just like they didn't go over that well.
I mean I was fine with the changes in the game. It's just the bigger thing is Animal Crossing New Horizons weirdly has the same problems as a new MMO.
Oh boy.
Where you played a lot. And you're like, wow, I'm having so much fun. Like, I enjoyed my time a lot while playing Animal Crossing. Yeah. But then you get to the late game content, and you're like, what have I got here? And they're like, your dailies. And I'm like, oh, no.
I think, ironically, that's what the pandemic hurt Animal Crossing in a way, because Animal Crossing has historically been a game design that you play it for, like, 20 or 30 minutes a day, and then, like, you don't spend all this time. But, like...
If I had a bus ride...
People don't have anything else to do but to play Animal Crossing, so it's like...
If I had a bus ride to work, Animal Crossing works a lot better.
Yeah,
weirdly
but your bus ride to work is I roll out of my bed and then roll to my computer chair and then throw myself in there, and I'm just like, well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think at first people were like, "This is a great pandemic game," but that's a very good point. Yeah. That like eventually the flaws of an Animal Crossing type game become very obvious when you have nothing else going on. You need games that you can like really meaty, and I guess like the meat of Animal Crossing in the end game is like the user created content that other people are putting out. Like I haven't played it, but like it seems like a lot of people enjoy going to other people's islands or making their own island very pretty.
Go to the Joe Biden island.
I I don't know if that's real or not, and I don't want to know.
That is real.
I mean,
it's real.
Oh,
It's
God. Okay. Well, anyways,
what else on this list? Doom Eternal is an interesting one because that seems a game that a lot of people, even people who really liked Doom 2016, and that's a lot of people, like not quite as enthused with Doom Eternal. Even though it seemed to be like it's more Doom, it's bigger, better Doom, but it's like
this is also the only game in this category that I've actually played, so I feel like I don't know how much of I voted for it because that's the only one I can really give my opinion on, but like it feels weird for me to vote for just that one thing when I just don't. You could say the same about like.
Nick, it's okay.
A low information voter of America. I voted for something I never. knew very little about. I voted for Hades because I heart Supergiant.
As much as I love Doom Eternal and Doom being one of my favorite games of all time, I did not vote for that. My personal vote went for Last of Us Part 2. That game was phenomenal in storytelling, gameplay, graphics. Like it was literally the masterpiece of this generation, in my opinion. Like what a way that Sony and PlayStation went out like that. I was stuck between that or Ghost of Tsushima because that was also like such a phenomenal title. But what it came down to was Ghost, in my opinion, lacked in storytelling in some areas. Like it was very good, but kind of cheesy. And
I don't hear anyone talking very deeply about the story.
Yeah, the story was very much if you've seen any samurai movie, you know how Ghost.
Whereas the story in The Last of Us Part 2 is it's
like
conduit for the whole conversation around the game, whether you like it or hate it. Like
I'm in the camp that I love The Last of Us Part 2 story. They took risks, and I'm happy they took risks.
Yeah. I mean, we literally had like that episode a couple weeks back of Brad and Lowell like just going against each other, or not really going against each other. It was a very good conversation, but like Lowell was not a fan of the story choices, and Brad was. Or no, sorry, flip that. Lowell liked the story choices, Brad didn't. But they both brought up like good points, and it just. At the end of the day, I definitely was more intrigued about playing the game, even though I know what the twists are. It just seems like they really went for something that nobody expected, but also like executed it well in certain aspects, and then you can argue about other stuff. But
like I said, this game just took so many risks. Like I did not expect. Like obviously, the game's been out since March or June, so spoilers. That halfway through you're going to play as a whole nother character. They kept marketing this game as Ellie's story, but to do like the parallel of seeing Abby's point of view and her struggles and being like, all right, there's really no bad guy in this game. Like you are your own bad person. The choices you make affect others, and everything that you do has consequences. In the end, revenge isn't really worth it. Like it was like powerful storytelling, and also like I said, just took many risks, and I think that deserves the game of the year.
Yeah, I think all of these choices, except maybe Final Fantasy VII, because it's Final Fantasy VII again. But I guess they changed some things about the story.
I think that's an unfair category. Like I've not played that game. I don't even care about Final Fantasy VII. But from all the stuff I've seen, it is very clear that is a fundamental. Like yes, it is based on the plot of Final Fantasy VII, but they even make some pretty major. Departures from that part, like that are like a big deal, like story wise.
Like okay, so they made those changes, but
it's a completely different combat. Like it's a different combat, and
that's true.
It's just a different game. It is.
Yeah. How many hours, like in generally, does it take to take? Because that's only one part of the game, right? It's like
it's not even done yet. Like that's the thing. It's not even all Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
So that's how massive it is.
It takes people around 40 to 60 hours to get through their first playthrough. It is a full-size game for a vertical slice of the original.
Yeah,
and like and Midgar basically, and then like all the stuff they like. It is like they decided, okay, what if we were making Final Fantasy VII again? Not in the sense of like, oh, we're polishing up and like we're re-releasing it. It's like, okay, we're remaking Final Fantasy VII. We're having another crack at it. Like that mindset of it. So like, I think. It's not like, if you were to say, if someone said Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered is game, like, they put out it's the same game with the graphics.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But I think, Final Fantasy VII Remake goes far beyond that.
I kind of want to pin this conversation. Do you guys feel that remasters and remakes should be included in nominations?
I think Beak's argument here has been like I
it's
think
hard to argue.
I think if you make enough of a change, like what you're
Yeah.
saying about Final Fantasy VII, then that might warrant including
Like there's so
it
many
as
different
a-
gradations. Like I would say that like the Modern Warfare 2 campaign remaster is more than the Hot Pursuit remaster, for example, because like the Modern Warfare 2 is they redid a bunch of audio, they redid, they added new animations in that game that are like not in like there's like new like you know it's less of like textures now it runs at a higher resolution, like there are so many gradations of like what remake, remaster, reboot, reimagining, like whatever terms people throw out of it. Like it's honestly just like a case by case basis. And I think in the case of Final Fantasy VII, it is so clearly
different,
a new game.
I was so upset to see that Demon Souls remake did not make any of the lists. I was like, oh, my heart.
It's just
it came out too late.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure will be on other outlets' Game of the Year lists this year, because they figure those out in December and release in January. The results for that stuff, but the way the Game Awards is always Game Awards is always weird because they try to like, okay, we got to pick a cutoff because like usually all the stuff is out by November, but inevitably some big games slipped into December or are put in December.
Right.
To begin
with. I wonder what big game got slipped into December this year.
Curious.
Project Wingman.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, this has been a good conversation. I think the consensus is that all these games definitely deserve to be up here.
We'll say quickly because we didn't talk about it. I think like out of all the games, I've not played any of these games, and the game I want to play most is Hades because Supergiant.
Yeah, from what I've seen, that game looks pretty.
And I think either Hades or Last of Us will probably win this category in the Game Awards, just because I think Last of Us is just the big tentpole game of this year, probably. Other than maybe Miles Morales or some of the other Sony stuff. And then Cyberpunk, but Cyberpunk is out yet. But Hades is just such a universally acclaimed. Like it's hard to find people who are like, Hades sucks or like they don't like it. Like it seems like the game has just been almost universally well received, and just everyone loves every aspect of it. The art, the voice acting, the music, like all the stuff Supergiant usually brings in their presentation. So
I will say, and I think we'll probably need to bookend it here because we're already almost 15 minutes in with this one category.
We'll probably skip a few of these categories.
Yeah, we'll skip the esports ones because they're fucking esports.
I don't care.
But we'll try to go quickly through the rest before we get to our own stuff. But then you mentioned that Miles Morales and then some of Sony's other stuff this year. It's kind of crazy that even just on this list of games of the year, 3 out of 6 are Sony exclusives, right? Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Well, I think for Game of the Year, for Game Awards, what that kind of translates to, what historically it's been, it's like, what are the big narrative-focused AAA games, usually, and then what is a couple of the standout indies. But that's usually what makes it into the Game of the Year category. There's never the Game of the Year is never in the Game Awards history as far as
no Fortnites.
No Fortnite, no Call of Duty, primarily multiplayer focused game makes it in there on the strength of their MP, which is unfortunate because I think when we get to when we talk about the games we played the most this year, it's gonna be stuff like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is interesting that Microsoft has no answer. Seemingly, none of these are Microsoft exclusives.
They don't care.
They retroactively picked up Doom, but
asking different questions, perhaps.
Yes. Sorry, Nick. You've said the trigger words. Why won't Microsoft make an exclusive game? They don't care. They're Microsoft. They sell you fucking wombos.
Yeah.
They will buy exclusive games for you to buy.
Murky, do you have Game Pass?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay, there you go. Xbox got you.
Game of the Year, Xbox Games Pass. We've done it. It's all the games.
100 games in it. It's got way more games. All these single games you gotta pay $60 for.
Yeah.
I mean, I secretly I know it's kind of cliche, but Xbox Game Pass is kind of it makes me very frustrated that even when it's like low on games for the month that I'm interested in, like sometimes I just log back on and I'm like, oh shit, they just gave me Dragon Quest XI for my $10 a month subscription. All right, I guess I'm back in, boys.
Yeah, you son of a bitch, I'm in. God bless. Yeah, no, you're right. They're definitely on different focuses, but at the same time, like I'm curious to see if things will change in the upcoming years because they did just make that huge move with ZeniMax and Bethesda, and so
they have like 30 studios now. They're making stuff. It's just
there's rumors they're gonna buy a Japanese studio. Like, what if they just bought Sega?
Oh my god, that would be massive. All right.
So at this point, it's either Atlas stops being an isolationist bad person or Sega gets bought by Microsoft. It's one of the two, because it makes. I've had so many conversations about Atlas where Sega has to bring them kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
It's funny because that's Sega we're talking about.
Yeah, they accidentally dropped the or we speculate
that
the
Strikers trailer.
Yeah, the Strikers, and it's coming to Steam, and that's like basically a new game. Like, it's been out in Japan for a while, but the localization, its initial release, and it's coming to Steam straight up. So like, dude, if we might actually get Persona 5 Royal on PC sooner than later.
I don't know. Strikers feels like another one where they're like, all right, we can sacrifice this one to the Westerners.
But it's literally a Persona 5 sequel. Like, they've said it straight up, and it adds stuff to the Persona.
I don't think you understand how stubborn Atlas is.
Oh,
remember how Persona? I'm going to talk about it later, but remember, Persona 4 Golden came out this year.
Yeah.
On PC.
And before that being like
Isn't
the
there
Golden
a
Edition
YouTuber
being
begging
restricted
Atlas to let them stream Persona 3, a game that came out on the PlayStation 2 14 years ago.
Oh, man.
I mean, look, that's the same thing, because like every day I'm like, man, I should just legally find a copy of Persona 3 and play it on an appropriate console and definitely not emulate it.
Yep.
But then I'm like, but what if like one day they just like decide to give it to me
someday
on Steam with all the DLC and everything?
They'll give it to you. That's how long.
That's what it feels like. That's what makes me so upset. They're babies. When
they're being broken. Like it's better. We at least have something to indicate that they might start shifting. All right, we're gonna start moving on to some of these because we gotta get through some more categories. So next we have best game direction.
2-hour podcast. Let's do it.
I mean, honestly, I'm not doing anything, but I'm gonna try to keep it an hour just for brevity's sake. So we got best game direction nominees are Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and The Last of Us Part 2. Of these,
that's a vague category.
Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So I think the innovation keyword is probably up there.
I don't know.
Yes. Last year was the first year they gave it to two separate games, and I think this is another one. And I think the hint is that Half-Life Alyx is in this list, but it is not in the Game of the Year list. And someone was like, "We got to give him something, guys, please."
Made a really good VR game.
And I mean that's what I voted for because I feel like that is pretty fucking amazing that Valve, notoriously just sleeping on the Steam money that they're just rolling in every single day forever.
For Hades again, just because. I think if we're talking about game direction, I think Supergiant as a company has shown like throughout all their titles very like a cohesive game direction. So,
I think
more of like it's more of like the classic Oscars. Like we're giving to this award to this person who's diverse. But I mean, Hades is apparently a very good game. I will play it.
Yeah, I think it's
also Hades' rating system, like how it.
That's true. Yeah.
Like there is actual like in terms of the technical side of it, like there are actual very important like narrative technical tricks that Hades does that is very good. And so that would be the argument for it. For The Last of Us 2, that's big AAA game, very talk of the town. So that'd be its thing. I don't think Final Fantasy VII Remake does this, even though. I don't know. Maybe if the competition wasn't so stiff this year, I could see it winning. And then I don't even know what the fifth one is.
Yeah. So I think definitely the top three that it's probably a toss-up between is Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and Last of Us Part 2. I can realistically see any of them winning, and I think they've all got a good chance. But Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So then we have best narrative. I think this one is going to be pretty. I've never even heard of 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
I've been meaning to play it, but unfortunately,
it's like a
much
VN thing, right? Visual novel style game.
Well, kind of. Okay. I really want to play it.
I've heard it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on PlayStation only, and I went sad. Guess I'll never see it.
To say the names really quickly, it's 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2. I feel like, because we've all been talking about the narrative of The Last of Us 2 for the past two categories, it's probably going to win this one. Although Hades, again, might have a chance just because, like you said, it has some narrative tricks up its sleeve that seem pretty fucking cool from what I've seen and heard.
Yeah, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake could be a dark horse because like part of its narrative is like it's almost meta in a sense of being like at tension with being a remake and like the expectations of like adhering or not adhering to this previous story. So they do some fun stuff with that. There's a really good article someone wrote about it for Kotaku. I think it was Heather Alexandra.
The only thing I would put against a narrative win for Final Fantasy VII, and I guess you labeling it as a dark horse is probably the correct labeling for it then, is just like it's very much a Tetsuya Nomura game, and people are very divided on Tetsuya Nomura storytelling.
Yeah, but this is the good Tetsuya Nomura game.
Is it? There's some shit I've seen from the Final Fantasy VII Remake that's
this
like...
is where everyone started, I cried at a video game when Flower Lady was stabbed by emo swordman.
But we haven't even gotten to that point yet, have we? Like that's not
but
in
this. They're building it up to that, man. Also, Air says shit now. It's cool.
She curses now. Epic. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
I mean, maybe it's a possibility. I guess. So I guess we'll see. But I definitely think Last of Us 2 is gonna take it. Then we've got Best Art Direction. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2. Hades looks fucking amazing. Yeah. I don't know if you guys...
I mean, if it's not Hades, it's going to be crazy. Look, I can see the argument for Ghost of Tsushima. I can see the argument for Ori, but Hades looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bro. Yeah. It's probably going to be Hades, but like I said, shout out.
We got everyone in horny jail over that game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the numbers of articles about, like, I would like to fuck X God from Hades, number 50.
And it's all of them. No one is left out.
No one has...
Dude,
every publication has heard.
We gotta give some throwback credit to the ancient Grecians, because like they knew how to make fuckable gods. Okay,
but like this is a very different interpretation of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, but like they based it on something, and they knew that Zeus, like he got away with fucking all those women because he was a hot motherfucker. All right, they knew that.
Well, if we're going in this art direction, it doesn't count if you base it on something. The Last of Us 2 is out because it's just like the real world.
Yeah.
Just rendered the real, and like I mean the technical impressive nature of those graphics. I mean that's not necessarily art direction, but
there's like you have to wonder about how they decide between like technical artistic prowess versus stylistic artistic prowess.
Yeah,
and like,
which is why some places have two different categories. They have best art and best graphics.
Yeah.
Like technical.
And the graphics.
The graphics.
The graphics.
But yeah, I would also say Hades would be my pick.
Yeah. I think that's probably gonna be what's taken. Kobe, you said that Will of the Wisps. Shout out to.
Shout out Ori. That game is beautiful.
Ori is cool.
Looking.
Ori is absolutely. Yeah, I think the only knock against it is kind of just continuing from the previous games, but like even still, I think it deserves at the very least to be
recognized.
This
definitely deserves a nomination. I mean, they all do, but yeah. Next up, we have Best Score in Music: Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Blind Forest, and The Last of Us Part 2. I'm sorry. I'm gonna die on this hill. Doom Eternal needs this. If it can't get anything else,
Doom is a controversial pick to put in here, given what has happened between.
That's true. There was the whole thing with Mick Gordon,
and also because like, isn't the DLC like have music that's not done by him? Like, isn't there been new music added? I may be remembering that incorrectly.
I think you might be right. I would have to look that up and double check it, but. Like, even if that's the case, I've only played a little bit.
I like the music in Doom Eternal. However, I think it hit less hard for me in a way.
Yeah, I
like,
will agree that there was less like
Doom 2016 was like so like
I remember BFG Division and Rip and Tear and like those like iconic tracks. I don't know if I have as many of those for Doom Eternal, but still I feel like it hits so fucking hard, and like I guess I really can't speak to these other games, but I feel like Doom Eternal's got.
I'm gonna sound like a
Doom Eternal's gonna win.
Here.
I wish Hades wins. That's
Hades,
my statement.
My boy Darren Korb does not miss.
All right. Yeah, well, I mean, Hades could take.
I agree with Beekman. He didn't miss this time either. He fucking slammed it right at the bullseye.
Even the Supergiant, I'm not a big fan of Transistor gameplay wise. Music, ballin'.
Yeah, and honestly, like Doom Eternal might have the fact that it came out like towards the starter half of this year. Like that might work against it.
Yeah, that's always a problem when Game of the Year's awards is recency bias. In my opinion, like I'm guilty of this. Like,
yeah.
I mean, look, there's a reason that the movies that win Oscars more often come out at a certain time of the year.
Oscar season, and that's why a certain, well, not really. The reason games come out at a certain time of the year is purely financially motivated.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Best Audio Design, which is Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, and The Last of Us Part 2. Interesting that Resident Evil 3 showed up. I forgot that game came out this year.
Yeah.
Felt like
not as well received as 1 and 2 remakes were. And I think that's partially because of the secret is Resident Evil 3 is just not at the level of Resident Evil 1, like the original.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So.
This is a category that feels weird.
Yeah.
It feels like there should have been more indies in this category. This category feels like it suffered the most from we just don't have that many games this year.
Yeah, but like I mean, I don't know if you got any on your personal list that you would think would fit in here, but I feel like
that's my problem is I don't really have much to add other than like
I guess I have some cool audio cues in a game I'll mention.
Yeah,
but
we can talk about it later. But bullets
the nature of the game I'll mention would never be nominated for the Game Award.
Yeah. I don't know. I picked Doom Eternal because, again, that's the only one I could really have an opinion on. Maybe Half-Life Alyx had some cool sound design stuff in relation to VR stuff, because, like, if you do, like, that dynamic audio ranging stuff, maybe that's cool, but then you could just do that with other games, so I don't know if it did anything really fantastic there. And then I don't really have anything to say on the other ones, so it kind of goes to Doom Eternal for me.
Last of Us 2, I mean, the audio was a big part of the first game, and so, Kobe, you've played it. Obviously, I have not. So, I mean, can you talk about like how does the audio does it continue sort of?
It's pretty much the same, just very much enhanced and more 3D-ish, especially if you have a good sound system.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense for that game to be here at the very least, from what I hear about it.
It might take it.
But yeah, I will say I didn't vote in this category because I'm like I haven't played these games, so I like it's hard for me to really judge. These all seem like reasonable nominations, but like I just don't. I don't have anything
know that much about it.
Enough about for me to vote either way.
Next up, we have Best Performance with Ashley Johnson as Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2, Laura Bailey as Abby from The Last of Us Part 2, Daisuke Tsuju as Jin Sakai. I hope I didn't fuck up that name, from Ghost of Tsushima. Logan Cunningham as Hades from Hades. And Naji Jeter as Miles Morales from Miles Morales.
What a great fucking list. There's whoever wins, I'm happy with.
Yeah, I don't think there's any bad picks here. I haven't experienced Miles Morales, but like from the stuff I've seen, it all makes sense.
Although I haven't heard many people talk about the performance of the protagonist in. Or is he the protagonist? Jin Sakai is just the protagonist of Ghost of Tsushima? Because I have not played it.
Yeah, he is the protagonist. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but I mean,
I think it's probably going to go to one of the Last of Us 2 picks. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah,
it's also great because they're like friends in real life, so like they're just going to be supporting each other, which is fucking hilarious.
I voted for my boy Logan Cunningham.
Critical Role get representation from Last of Us.
Yeah, honestly, it's fucking hilarious. They both are just in this fucking massive knockout game. I don't know. I think I picked Ashley, but I don't know. Well, I think it's any of these people could win and it'd be a good time. Except I don't know about Ghost of Tsushima, but maybe there's some Ghost of Tsushima stands out there that would really want to see their boy win. But I don't think that's any of us. So Yeah, it's a toss up.
Maybe it's just because this year didn't have that many like big RPGs, and that's why I was like, I don't have much opinion on the speaking roles.
Yeah. Next up we have.
There's not 8 characters from a Mass Effect you could nominate.
Right.
Yeah.
Just all a Mass Effect. God, if BioWare doesn't die, maybe we'll get something like that with Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, look, we can dedicate another podcast to the wacky shenanigans that's happened over the last week at BioWare.
Yeah, that's spicy.
Good lord, but that's for another time. There's games for Impact. I don't know if you guys.
I really hate the concept of this category because it just seems kind of patronizing and condescending. Like, oh, here's the message games.
Here's the political. We're putting all the political games in the political games category, even though Last of Us 2 is in another game.
Last of Us
like
is
some
the
of the other
most political
categories
game this year.
Yeah.
At least for a lot of gaming discourse, or I guess some of the commentary around the at least the marketing for Cold War. I voted for Kentucky Route Zero because that game's been in development, right? And that game's cool. People should play that game.
I both like Kentucky Route Zero. Maybe Kentucky Route Zero should win, but Kentucky Route Zero is actually pretty interesting because it's one of those a game where I was like, oh wow, I appreciate this game a lot, but also this game is not meant for me, and that is why. Maybe I just don't connect with it as well, but I am fine with that. Like that is an okay thing to accept.
Yeah, sure.
Which is weird considering I spent a lot of time in my youth going out on trips to West Virginia. Which I mean, Kentucky Route Zero isn't about West Virginia, but it is literally about here is a flyover part of country. We will now use metaphor to explore the many different aspects of this society.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's super cool, and the reason I picked it is just because I've kept hearing good things about it. So, yeah, we'll see. This is probably gonna be one that doesn't get a ton of votes, mostly because people just didn't play any of these games. Except maybe tell me why.
I played 3 out of the 5 of these. What are you talking about?
Okay, but you're also the fucking hipster movie nights guy. I feel like if there's any category that you would be playing the most out of, where most other people wouldn't, it'd be fucking games for Impact. We'll see. I don't know. Tell me why it was like the big was like.
I need to play more about. Tell me why.
That Microsoft was.
Yeah, I've heard some mixed things, which sort of disqualifies it for me. Not for me, or which made me feel weird because I haven't played it. Whereas Kentucky Route Zero, I have played some of, and I think that game's cool. But and also just I hate this whole category in a sense. There's stuff around trans characters and stuff like that, and apparently they don't do the greatest job of handling some of that stuff.
That's why I wanted to play more of it because I've heard mixed reactions on how they handle it. So I want to actually develop my own personal idea for it. There was an article that came out that I remember where they were like, yeah, tell me why it's fine, but the thing that holds it back is the don't nod aspect of it, which is they're like, there's a mystical element happening in the background. You have to have a mystical element in your game, and you're like, this is like even though I'm only I only finished the first chapter, I was still like, wow, this is the mystical aspect is the weakest part of this game. Just have
it worked
them
out in Life
be
is Strange
people.
because it's very much tied into
the gameplay,
the experience of being a teenager and wishing you could
go back,
do a lot of your stuff you did as a teenage over that core concept. I think worked well, but I think they have sort of not really replicated that success. They haven't other games.
Caught that lightning in a bottle again since.
I mean, Captain Spirit does a good one where it has no mystical element until the end, but the mystical element is you having PTSD from living with your bad dad.
Oh no. All right, next up we've got best ongoing game, which is basically the big MMO category.
Which one? Net service.
Yeah, games as a service kind of stuff.
This MMO category with 0 MMOs in it.
Yeah.
Let's give it to Apex. Let Lil get mad and then move on from the category.
What? Lil likes? Oh no, it's because Destiny 2's awesome.
Yeah, because it's versus Destiny 2. No one can.
I voted for Warzone because
what were the nominees on this one again?
It was Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a very interesting pick. I thought they did their sort of recovery thing last year, but I guess it's
No Man's Sky.
They're still putting stuff into it.
It got even bigger this year. I don't know. I would say Fortnite because even though I don't play Fortnite, what Fortnite's doing over there, especially with their live events, especially what they just did with like the whole Marvel season and the Nexus War, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool what they're doing. So I'm gonna give them props.
Fine and all, but I'm OS man, and I don't know how to build in Fortnite, so fuck Fortnite.
Trust me, I love
left
Warzone.
trigger, right trigger.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well,
we'll see if the kids like get out and vote for this category.
Honestly, I think they did a pretty good job throughout the year of like updating that mode and keeping it fresh. I miss. Please bring back Truck Zone. Infinity Ward, if you're watching this, which I know you are.
The ever popular Horse Around podcast.
The greatest mode of all time.
Everywhere.
The greatest mode of all time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Apex Legends out of all of these is like the one that I feel like I should go back and play. I guess Call of Duty Warzone is the one I've played most recently, and No Man's Sky I've never played. But like out of all of these, the things I see that are happening in Apex Legends, they had that kerfuffle with like the battle pass or whatever, but I think they were pretty quick to resolve that, which is indicative to me of like a good dev team that listens to their audience. So like that's why I went for Apex, but
I feel like the tenor around Destiny 2 has gotten more negative since these nominees were announced about some of the stuff that's happening with the game right now. So.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. It might be just an easy win for Fortnite, but it could also go to some of these other ones. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Next is Best Indie, which includes Carrion, Fall Guys, Hades, Spelunky, and Spiritfarer. Fall Guys, man, if it just managed to like either come out a little bit later or be popular a little bit longer before fucking Among Us came out, probably would have been easier for me to justify picking this, but now it's probably going to be
this is just a grab bag of like, I mean, indie is such a weird term at this point. But yeah, I mean, these all fit people's perception of an indie game, even though two of them are published by Devolver. But
so my statement on the indie game category is that it's very clear that category is the same thing as when a foreign film gets nominated for best foreign film and then is also nominated for best picture, and you go, all right, I think I know which one wins this category. So that's why I think Hades is going to end up winning by a landslide. So because it got nominated for both Game of the Year and
there is one notable admission I guess because it came out too late is fucking Bugsnax. Bugsnax is a fucking great game.
Bugsnax is very good.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't think Bugsnax could have been nominated, but I don't think it
probably would have won.
Beats the upper echelons of those ones.
Yeah.
Carrion, I played some of that game. It is pretty fun. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna again beat Hades. Spelunky 2 was also a pretty big deal. I thought people were pretty hyped for that game, but it might also get
it came out weird. Like I feel like a lot of people it sort of got beaten to the punch by Hades, whereas like a lot of people were using Hades, and then Spelunky 2 came out, and like, well, Spelunky 2.
I think it came out the same week or the week before Hades. It was like the same time frame, which doomed the game.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be fine in the long run, but it has certainly not had the same sort of spotlight on it that Hades had.
I don't think it's like a doomed thing, just because Hades has as much as we don't want to, the game industry doesn't want to admit it. Hades has been out for a long time. I'm sure the guys over at Supergiant would admit it, but that game has been ongoing for a long time. Spelunky 2, I don't know. Spelunky 2 is one where you're either in or you're out. And what's going to determine that is how much time you spent in Spelunky 1.
Yeah.
And
how did you like Spelunky 1?
Yeah.
Because Spelunky 2 ain't gonna change your mind about Spelunky 1.
That's fair. Yeah, I remember that article that came out with the game. It was just like, yep, this is a very much a Spelunky one man's game.
Spelunk.
But yeah, it's probably going to Hades. Rip to Fall Guys. They really just got fucking destroyed by our next category's almost inevitable winner, best mobile game.
One-trick pony.
What? Oh yeah.
For me, Fall Guys kind of a one-trick pony. Like I think that game was novel in the moment because it was in, but I think fundamentally there's not that much interesting about Fall Guys.
Yeah, they're just not able to pump out enough new this is a game that lives or dies based on the new content that they add, whereas like Among Us is a game that thrives on social deduction, which is just naturally generated by the players playing it. Whereas Fall Guys is like you have to have new courses, new game modes to keep people like interested because they get tired after seeing fucking the soccer game for the 14th time in a session. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't know. Maybe they'll bring it back. We'll see. Best mobile game. Let's go through this. It's Among Us. There's not. I don't.
Yeah, this is the Among Us category. This is the category that was created, so Among Us could win it.
It's gonna be Among Us or Call of Duty Mobile again.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna be Call of Duty Mobile or Among Us because Call of Duty won last year.
I think Genshin was. I feel like I hear people talking about Genshin Impact.
At the same time, though, I don't remember like any other big mobile games.
But Genshin is such a big gacha game that I think that might hold it back.
That's possible. It's probably Among Us. Get
that shit out.
It's probably Among Us. I think I agree. I think Genshin Impact is number 2 on the list rather than Call of Duty Mobile. I think Call of Duty Mobile wins that category because last year it's Call of Duty Mobile, and I don't think that, if I remember correctly, the competition last year in the mobile space was not huge. You didn't have any of the big hitters like you did in 2018.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Well, it's almost certainly the Among Us category. Best community support is Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Valorant. Probably Fortnite or No Man's Sky.
I have no investment in this category.
I don't really have much investment.
No investment in the category. I could see almost every game winning this except maybe Fall Guys or Destiny.
Yeah.
I can't.
It seems very similar to the best ongoing game category.
I can't see Valorant winning. I don't know how there's some community support.
I don't get that either because they've just been like it's been fine. I don't think I've heard anything bad about it personally.
Yeah, they put out a few new characters, right?
They added characters, but that's like it. That's just ongoing at that point. That's just like that seems like much more.
I'll give the No Man's Sky because of how they've been turning around that game.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's cool.
Not much.
The next category.
Next category is
this is the same thing as NBA. They put Half-Life. What, you voted for Dreams?
I voted for Dreams conceptually. It's like what I was talking to you about Fuser. It's like a game that is like user generated content focused, and I think the potential of Dreams is massive. But I agree. It's probably gonna be Half-Life. We'll see.
But also I taught kids at a camp to do things that Dreams allows kids to do, and I'm like, look, this is a great idea, guys. I really appreciate this. This is a very good tool to allow people to express themselves in video games in no ways they can before. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give it to Half-Life Alyx though. Good job, guys.
Yeah, the picks are Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners. I don't know how.
I had not heard of that Walking Dead game until I looked at this nomination. I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
So
this category is literally just, does it go to Dreams or Alyx? And it probably goes to Alyx for the same reason I told you that Hades is probably going to win.
I voted for Squadrons.
I was like, Shadow Squadrons.
Really?
Yeah, because it lets you do a Star War in VR.
It's like the big old arcade machine where you could sit inside the booth and get.
It's a fun enough game.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's probably going to Alyx. We'll see. I guess they just didn't have anything else for
if it doesn't go to Alyx.
Yeah, I just cannot believe that wasn't Iron Man VR like really bad. Like I thought people did not.
The
like
load times were like 3 minutes. It was pretty
yike.
Yeah.
Next category.
Innovation and accessibility. I don't know if we really have like the position to talk about these.
Give
games.
it to Grounded for the arachnophobia meme.
Difficulty. Yeah, and then Grounded.
I'm gonna say Last of Us because the amount of accessibility options they have.
It probably does go to Last of Us. Last of Us did a very good job. If this was a year or two ago when Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out, I would probably give it to that.
Yeah, the nominees are
sure
Assassin's Creed
Valhalla
Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot. Sorry, and then Last of Us Part 2 and Watch Dogs Legion.
Hyperdot could win. Hyperdot got like an actual I think 10 out of 10 rating by the board that determines how accessible your game is. I forgot the name of the board. Mm-hmm. It's also specifically designed for it to be played by literally anyone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that could be a sleeper hit for that one.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if that's true, then go off. Maybe it'll win. Next up, okay, we've really got to get through these because we're already fucking 40
minutes in. Let's burn through them, boys.
Best action: Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, Streets of Rage 4. Just say what you pick.
This one goes to Hades or Doom Eternal. Next category.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
go.
Best action adventure: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales,
it's a third-person game.
Ori and the Wills of Wisp.
Nick, I appreciate your vote for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's not going to happen. Last of Us Part 2 probably wins this one. All right, next category.
All right, best role-playing game: Final Fantasy VII, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, that or Miles.
Yakuza. It's going to Persona 5. Yakuza might be a sleeper hit,
I kind of want Yakuza to win.
Yeah, we'll see.
I could go on. If I had an hour, I'd talk about my problems with Persona 5. Wasteland 3 is a very well constructed Wasteland 2 sequel, but it was more Wasteland 2, and I already played Wasteland 2.
Okay, all right.
Best fighting game.
The Wasteland subject matter expert has weighed in.
Best fighting game: Grand Blue Fantasy versus Mortal Kombat 11.
Skip this section. This section
just not good.
Lazy.
This section is just bad. You got a fucking re-release of a game that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, most of these are re-releases under night.
This is a shitty year for fighting games.
I think my friend voted for my friend who plays fighting games voted for Grand Blue because at least it came out this year. All right, next one.
Okay. Best family: Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Fall Guys, Mario Kart Live, Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, and Paper Mario. Probably a pin category for.
I'm fine with any of these. It's probably Animal Crossing that's going to win.
Origami King will win, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Best Sim Strategy: Crusader Kings 3, Desperados.
This category is
it's the Microsoft Flight Simulator category, I would assume.
Crusader Kings 3.
Crusader Kings 3 is very good. I think I think I agree with Nick. I think Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to win this because of the technology behind it.
Yeah. Also very weird to shove these two categories together.
Yes. I had a long discussion about how the general populace ties these two together. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've gone to, video game store, even online, and they just slap sim and strategy together. And I'm like, these are two different categories. They borrow from each other, but they're very different. Yes. You can't compare Microsoft Flight Simulator to fucking XCOM Chimera Squad. I'm sorry.
It's pretty good.
XCOM Chimera Squad, very good. I'm going to hopefully talk about it later, depending on how much time we have.
If you look at reviews quick, both Crusader Kings and Flight Sim both got like 10 out of 10s, like almost across the board. So.
Yes, but that's why I think Flight Sim might win, because I remember people were like, Microsoft released another flight simulator. What that's gonna be? And then everyone was like, actually, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. You got the entire planet.
Okay, best sports and racing: Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21, NBA.
Tony Hawk.
Or Tony Hawk's
probably Tony.
It's a Tony Hawk giveaway. Next is best multiplayer. Games
except F1 and Dirt were trash. Yeah. Tony Hawk.
I give this one to Among Us. Fall Guys.
Best multiplayer: Animal Crossing, Among Us, Fall Guys, Valorant. It's probably going to Among Us.
It's either Among Us or Warzone.
Yeah,
it's Among Us or Warzone. I play more Among Us, so that's why I'll vote for Among Us.
And then it's a bunch of people awards, so I don't think we're even
going
to talk about
these. Don't care.
I like a lot of
Tim the Tatman because he's bald. He's got to get something. All right, next category.
Wow.
Oh my God! You can't just.
I'm sorry. It's just because
that.
they picked literally what I can only describe as Tim the Tatman's baldest picture I've ever seen of him.
Yeah. The rest of these. Oh wait. Best debut game. I don't know.
It probably goes to Alana. She kind of deserves it.
Yeah. She's been doing a lot.
It's
best
time for her to
debut
get
game.
out of content creation and work at a games company.
But she's been doing her own stuff outside of Funhouse. I think that's what they're nominating her for. Best debut game: Carrion, Mortal Shell, Raji, The Ancient Epic, Roki, and Phasmophobia. Probably Phasmophobia win.
Phasmophobia.
By virtue of recency bias.
I both. It's one of those things where I'm like, I both think that Phasmophobia has a very good chance to win, and also I'm like, I like Phasmophobia a lot. Mm-hmm. But then the third thing is, I don't think it should win because Phasmophobia is kind of still scuffed.
Is it early access?
I feel very bad if I do not enjoy the idea of scuffed Phasmophobia winning over
Carrion.
Not just Carrion, but like these other games which I might not have played, but clearly have a lot of heart and soul poured into them.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Phasmophobia. I personally want Mortal Shell to win.
I've heard actually surprisingly good things about Mortal Shell, so it could win also.
Yeah. And then the rest of them are esports things, which
I don't care. Skip all of them. We're going to the games.
Golden Boy.
Golden Boy's the only person in that
for
section
AEW, and that was pretty cool. So I voted for him.
Okay.
Wait, he did an AEW one?
Yeah, he's done multiple AEW events as wrestling commentator.
That's wild.
Oh, there is also Best
pretty good at
Esports
it,
Game, which I guess we could talk about. I think it's going to Valorant.
I don't think it does, because Valorant's
Modern
esports
Warfare
scene
or
is
Fortnite make
kind
it
of
up
nothing
here,
right
but-
now.
Yeah, I think this is the League of Legends, Fortnite, Counter-Strike Global Offensive category, three-way category, and then everything else is like, it's an honor to be nominated.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyways, all right. Let's with a whopping 10 minutes left. If you guys don't mind going over, we're probably just gonna go over.
Yeah, we can.
We can talk about our personal lists. First, I'd say let's just talk about 2020 only releases that you would like put up there as possible your Game of the Year winners.
Perfect. That's like 2 games.
Yeah, I'll go through my list really quickly because I have a couple of choices, but some of them I feel like it's just an honor to be nominated choices. And those include Fuser, Valorant, Doom Eternal, Fall Guys, Superliminal, Persona 5 Royal, and Bullets Per Minute. Persona 5 Royal is just...
I thought Superliminal came out last year.
No,
it's fine. Who cares?
It was just on my, like, it's been sitting on my waitlist forever. It's like, because I saw the tech demo, like, years ago, and it only just hit stores.
Superliminal is a 2019 puzzle game.
Oh, what the
You've been
fuck?
defeated.
All right. I guess they didn't release on Steam until this
Whatever,
year.
it's your games of the year. If you want it to be on your list, I don't care what year it came out in. You played for the first time, I think it's relevant.
Out of this list, for me personally, I think it's either Bullets Per Minute or Fuser, and I think they're both games that do amazing things with music, and I love games that incorporate music in interesting, unique ways. So
musicality is very important.
Yeah,
not enough people appreciate musicality in the actually in the general art space, because there have been many movies where people are like, oh yeah, but it used sound, it played song good, and I'm like, yeah, but how did it implement the song into the actual thing that was happening? You gotta make it work, dude.
Like fucking Baby Driver and like the Edgar
Yes,
Wright
Baby Driver is like literally, if you want to explain musicality to a child, show them Baby Driver, and they're like, oh, I see now, music move along with movie, and I'm like, yes, good job.
Music make me lose control?
That's it. You broke it down to your most basic components. All right, what do you guys? I guess we'll go around. Beekman, what were your picks for? 2020
thinking back, like there were not a lot of games this year that straight up came out in 2020 that I think I could call. I mean, like Call of Duty came out, Cold War. We talked about it off the air, but it is very. I described it as the statistical. If a machine generated the statistical average of a Call of Duty, that's what that game is. So it is just kind of like,
yeah.
Especially compared to last year's game. So I guess Warzone would be a lot. I played a lot of Warzone this year. I get a lot of fun time. But like Game of the Year is a game that some of you may have heard me talk about. But I'll reiterate in this podcast. It is a mod technically. For Hearts of Iron, which is a game that definitely did not come out in 2020. But Hearts of Iron, The New Order, the mod for Hearts of Iron 4. So normally Hearts of Iron it's a Paradox Grand Strategy game, and like most Paradox Grand Strategy games, it takes a piece of history, and you are essentially given control of, a political entity, in this case, a country. Crusader Kings 2, it's like a kingdom. It's depending on the game, but
sure.
And you're essentially running through the years bookending World War II. So right before in the 30s and up till slightly after, up to like 1950. I think that's when the game ends. 1952. So Hearts of Iron, the New Order is different because starts in 1964, and it takes place in a alternate universe where the Axis powers have won the Second World War. Which is a very common alternate history. That's like the most common. It's either what if the Confederacy won the Civil War, or what if the Nazis won World War II. Those are the two like most common counterfactuals.
What if bad guys win though?
And so and normally like I'd be like, okay, this is overdone. And like the interesting thing about the New Order is it does not portray the world as a place where the Axis win, and then suddenly like, oh, they control the whole world. Like if you've seen the show A Man in the High Castle, it's like Nazi Germany occupies half of the United States, and the other half is occupied by like Japan. It's like this crazy thing where
because
like
the two of them
just,
would
like,
definitely agree to split it 50-50 if somehow that became into it.
But like the whole world, and more this sort of says like, yeah, these fascist regimes prevailed in this instance, but like their systems are fundamentally unsustainable.
Yeah.
Like the trains do not run on time in the fascist. Like it's just bad. And so like in the narrative of the mod, the German economy collapses and like there's all this bad time. And so the big inciting event, one of the big inciting events in the mod is um um a German civil war. Hitler dies, and then like there's four different sides, like four different people vying for control to like essentially take the control, and so like sort of plunges the world into this sort of. And so the mod is just, it is some of like the best writing I've seen from like an independent team. Like the research, like everyone in the mod is largely a real historical figure, like the leaders you play have, but they have been like elevated into different roles and like different perspectives, and just it's like a weird kind of dystopian funhouse mirror, which I think, you know, it plays into our current moment. And like there's all sorts of like great stories because, you know, it's Hearts of Iron, so you pick these different countries, so you can take control of, you know, you can play in the German Civil War, you can play one of the many warlord kingdoms that have sprung up. The USSR has completely collapsed, and so Russia is just pockmarked by these different kingdoms, which there's some really wild shit
yeah,
going
that's
on
really
there.
like it sounds like the amount of effort they put in was truly like,
yeah,
they did their homework
just,
and it paid off.
And just like the little details, they have these things called super events that play, and you know what happens is they pop up an image with usually some historical quote, and then they play audio, and they really, you know, there's these very simple, like just using the stuff that's in Hearts of Iron, but like they've chosen the stuff so carefully. So like there's one for the United States, so you can take the United States down a very dark path, where this guy named Francis Yockey, who was a real dude, who was essentially a white nationalist, uh, espoused all this horrible stuff, and like he can win the presidency, he can get elected to office. And so when that happens, the, you know, the super event, the Yockey presidency happens, and the imagery they pick, they have an image of the White House with the American flag uh uh at half mast, and I wish I could remember the quote because the quote is very good. But and then they play the Star Spangled Banner, like this mournful, like minor key version of the Star Spangled Banner, and then they have the famous phrase, "It happened here," which is like the term of like, yes,
that's
even
fucking
in these supposedly
chilling.
free societies and free, you know, countries that been created, like fascism like can happen. Like just, you know, like people always said, oh, that never happened here, and then like, you know, our current moment of 2020, like, so like the mod coming out this year certainly, I think, put it in a like very particular political headspace for me. And like it's just so cool. It's one of the most engrossing bits of fiction. As a Hearts of Iron mod, it's interesting because like you kind of get locked off from a lot of the like more like complex gameplay elements. So like they kind of create these different unique mechanics for each faction, but like it's easier to play than Hearts of Iron in some cases, because like some stuff you just can't do. Like a lot of the diplomacy shit is just blocked off. Like you can't declare war anytime because like it would break some of the storytelling of the mod. So it's like it's almost like playing a visual novel in some ways, where you're like making decisions and different events are popping up. And yeah, it's just so cool. I put so much time into playing it. It's still being developed. They're still adding onto it. But yeah, that was just the coolest experience that I played this year that wholly came out this year.
Sure. Yeah. All right, Kobe, what do you got?
Obviously, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Doom Eternal, Demon Souls, which might be my game of the year, which, God, what a fucking phenomenal remake that game was. And then shout out Astro's Playroom. That was a very fun tech demo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like
I heard that.
It was like a 4-hour tech demo, and God, that game was just so much fun. It had so much charm, and it was a big love letter to PlayStation.
Yeah, to like PlayStation history. Yeah, like all that stuff. Yeah.
That's cute that they went the extra yard for that.
Yeah. Miles Morales was also very good. If you like Spider-Man, PS4, you're gonna love Miles Morales.
Yeah, very interested to play that at some point.
But yeah, like I said, standout games, definitely Last of Us and Demon Souls are my top ones. Especially Demon Souls, what they did with the remake, it wasn't just a graphical overhaul. Like they kept the gameplay the same because like don't mess with the Souls formula. It's pretty much like perfected.
People like their Souls just the way it is. So,
but all the animations are redone. Like every weapon animation, as they said, has the same cadence, but is completely reworked. So like the amount of time it takes to swing and hit is the same, but it all looks and feels different. And the DualSense incorporation with the game makes it feel gritty. That depending on what surface you're hitting, like reacts differently with the controller. Yeah. So yeah, if you're hitting against armor, you feel the armor of the controller. If you're hitting against just flesh, you feel the flesh in the controller. Like it goes pretty wild. And like there's certain areas like in World 4 Tower of Latria, there's this big beating heart, and you feel the heart beating in the controller when you're walking near it. So they do like a lot of cool gimmicky stuff with the game. Not game of the year, but I just want to say, fuck this game this year was Avengers.
Yeah,
I hated Avengers.
Notably, nowhere on any of the nominations for this year.
They're talking about Avengers on the Giant Bombcast this week, the Giant Bomb podcast, and it was Jeff Kurtzman made an interesting point where he doesn't want to denigrate the work people made on the game because they obviously I'm sure a lot of people worked very hard on a game of that. For that, but it sort of made him feel a little good that like he thought like, well, it doesn't matter how bad this game is, it's got Avengers on it, it's gonna sell like, and it's gonna do like crazy. And apparently it's not. Apparently Square Enix is taking a $67 million loss for their quarterly profits because the game did not do well. So it's like apparently you cannot just market your game. You still can't market your way out of a mediocre or bad game. Yeah. So that is perhaps
a little bit of faith restored in humanity.
Little faith. It's unfortunate.
That it didn't turn out to be, because if I want, I think a lot of people wanted it to be a good game. Like a lot of people, I think it's been a fantasy for a long time that people wanted to play like a really good third-person action type.
Well, people just want Marvel video games in general, and they just haven't been.
Right.
Spider-Man,
like
great.
Yeah, Spider-Man has been fantastic, but people want to see if they can do that for like a Hulk game or an Iron Man game, and it's just like it.
Here's the biggest thing about Avengers. Playing it is the thing that sucks and hurts the most is you can see what it could have been. Like you can see it could have been a linear story that was like this big set piece action, or
it feels
make
so
it
weird
like
that
a Spider-Man.
Make a Destiny like loot game out of the event. Like it's just like, why you're trying? Like I know why, because they want to like make.
They see the numbers on the loot crate games, and they're like,
to that
yes,
type
please.
of game. Like it just. Yeah, like this should have been like a cool.
It really feels like halfway, and I do genuinely mean like halfway through development, like they were making one of those two games.
Yeah,
and then someone somewhere got a promotion and said, "I'm in charge now. Make this," and then they had to make that. I don't want to speculate specifically on what happened behind that game, and who knows? Maybe it's always been this hybrid idea. But yeah, it's just a weird situation.
And then, I guess to wrap up your thing, Kobe. So you've got Last of Us Part 2, and then Demon Souls.
Demon Souls, and then Doom Eternal and Ghost are like close seconds.
Yeah. All right, Jacob, what do you got for games that came out this year?
Woo! I didn't play Jake. I literally have 3 games on my what games came out this year that I liked list. One of them I don't even think really counts, and then the other one is just a mini sequel to a game I already liked, and then the third one is an actual original idea that I enjoyed.
Okay.
So first one is XCOM Chimera Squad. That game's fun.
Cool game.
I understand people's problems. They're like, oh, it's a little buggy, and sometimes if you don't play the boss fights in the right order, you get royally fucked. But
when it works, it works good.
When it works, it works. I like banter. I like this. A lot of people attribute it to this that it has a very Saturday morning cartoon vibe, and I agree.
XCOM, which I enjoyed.
It also serves as just like a don't worry guys, we're making XCOM 3. So I was like, all right,
cool idea.
I like it. It also just does something which is like very clearly they just had a lot of ideas left over from both XCOM 1 and 2, and we're like, we would like to use these somewhere, and they all put it in a mixing pot. And we're like, stir it up, serve it to the people. And I'm like, all right, I like this.
Sometimes that goes real bad, and you get a mess that tastes terrible, but sometimes you get a really good stew. And this was a pretty good stew.
This was a pretty good stew. My other game on the list is Persona 4 Golden. That game, we could say, didn't come out this year, but fuck you, Atlas made it come out this year.
In spirit, it came out.
What can I say? It's fucking Persona 4 Golden. It fucking slaps.
It doesn't have the original Chie voice actor. Game sucks.
You're right. I forgot. 0 out of 10. Take it off the list.
They got a different voice actress for her? I didn't know that.
There were several different voice actors.
Persona 4 and the Golden update. Yeah.
I don't know. I really like Golden. I really like Persona 4 in general. I like it. I haven't played Persona 3, but currently Persona 4 is my favorite Persona game. And yeah, what can I say? I didn't play it for like a couple months because I was like, I don't think I want to start Persona 4 Golden, which is a 100+ hour experience.
Oh yeah, you're playing a Persona game. You're gonna be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, but then I started up. Heartbreak starts playing in the background. I'm like, shit, dude, I fucking forgot. I love this game, and so I've been really enjoying it so far. And then my third game is a game that came out, I think, just a month ago, or no, I think it came out 2 months ago. It's called Paradise Killer. I put it on the list so I had an actual game from this year. Paradise Killer is like, what if we took the investigation part of Danganronpa and made it an entire game, and the trial is the thing that happens at the end? And I'm like, oh shit, that sounds cool. And then I played through like most of it over the last week. And it is very good. It is very aesthetically pleasing. It's got a lot of vaporwave inspiration and also just really cool character design in general. It's got some very fun, person-to-person character writing and all of that. It also the wider world of it, I really enjoy as well. It's got a lot of, I guess, like Cthulhu-inspired stuff happening in it, but it's also its own separate thing. It's very hard to explain without you experiencing the game, and that seems to be what it bounces a lot of people off. But also kind of similar to stuff like Danganronpa and all those more text-based games. You're either going to be in or you're going to be out. So if you like Danganronpa, you'll probably like this. It has a very similar vibe. There was another game I was thinking about that it reminded me of, but I think Danganronpa is probably the one that is closest.
Gotcha. Yeah, a friend of mine was recommending Danganronpa to me a while back, and I still need to get into it. It definitely seems like it's up my alley.
It's very good.
Novel bullshit that I get into.
Play Danganronpa 1, play Danganronpa 2, and then you've played all the games they ever made for Danganronpa series.
Damn, okay.
There's no Danganronpa 3. I've never heard of that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you touted Persona 4 Golden a lot, which I think would honestly, it sounds like it falls more into the one other thing I wanted to address, which is just like, because it's hard to talk about this stuff without just talking about what you've been playing the most this year, because I feel like in a lot of ways that matters more than what came out this year to me personally.
Especially in a year like this where
everything is on fire. Yeah. So sometimes there's just a game that like maybe you haven't touched in a while, but you just get back into because God, you need it.
Yeah, I played a lot of games that got back into Squad because Squad updates came out. Postscriptum. Just like different games that you play for a while and then you drop, but you just come back to because it's like, oh, there's new stuff, there's new things to do. That's becoming more the experience of having these games that just have a long tail in general.
Yeah. And so I just like real quick, and then we can end this thing. What were some games that you guys played the most this year? Like got a lot of mileage out of, regardless of what year it came out on. I'd say for me, by far, it is Halo: The Master Chief Collection and Dead by Daylight. I literally stream Halo every Monday, and we were doing a fucking lasso campaign for pretty much this entire year. God, it was torture, but God, I just love Halo so fucking much. And it doesn't really, like, I think it did come out after the Game Awards deadline for last year, so it didn't get nominated for anything, but it probably could have by their guidelines or whatever, so maybe it could be counted as a 2020 game, but, like, it's also just all of the old Halo games, so I don't really know how much that really bears weight, but definitely just played the shit out of that. And then Dead by Daylight, which is a buggy fucking mess, and the developers should be held accountable for all the bullshit they're pulling by trying to get these patches out that are absolute dog shit. But the core gameplay loop has absolutely hooked me, and the head asses got me hooked on it back in just after I started work, I think. And I just can't get enough of it. Like, the thrill of playing as a killer and dunking on those survivors is just so good that I can't get enough of it. I think the other thing they put on my list were Ape Out, which I played for whatever Wednesday a while back, and you were with me for that, Jacob. Very
Ape Out slaps, dude. That's a game that has musicality because it's about jazz.
Yeah. And then
Oh, you mean Persona 5 inspired music?
No, bad.
And then Jedi Fallen Order was up there because I finished that in 2020, and then Among Us because Among Us. And this one is a little bit weird because it is really fallen off, but I look back at towards the beginning of the year, and I was still very much into it, like at least up until the summer, which was Rainbow Six Siege. That game is just, I don't know, I think it's a really solid game. They just put out a new operator, which I should probably pick up because I finally got that fucking season pass, so I should probably use it. But still a very good game. I just fell out of it for a while because
I did too.
Been playing too
a
much
lot of
Warzone. Yeah. That was a new hot thing for a while there. But yeah, what have you guys been playing that was like maybe not a 2020 release, but you've just been playing a fuck ton of this year?
I mean, I just said it, which was Modern Warfare. I think a combination of that game being a true return to form for both Infinity Ward and the Call of Duty series after like a number of Call of Duties that I just could not care any less about or just seem mediocre. And then the just consistent support model, like, no map packs, nothing of that. You have the season pass and just like, putting out new guns, new maps, and then they launch Warzone, a whole new mode. And just all the constant stuff. It was just, it was always the game, it was the game that, people could just hop on and play, fun, chat it up. And, it was just consistently solid. And,
might have been up there for me if I could ever get it to work properly on my PC.
Yeah. We eventually found the way to solve your issue with fucking with Windows power settings, which was weird. But, I played a ton of that game, and I'm interested to see because they pushed it back a week, but the Black Ops integration into Warzone and how that's all going to shake out. Because
turning Warzone into like it's just entire.
Cold War is fun, but like there are just things about it that are just like they're just like 10% wrong. They're just like, oh, why is this like this? Like you're just like, the multiplayer is fun, and I've been having more fun with it, but it's just like there's all these things where I'm just like, last year's game.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit when we talk about the last category, which is what are we anticipating for 2020?
Oh yeah. But yeah, first Kobe, what have you been playing the fuck out of this year?
So this year, just because of the state and being a pandemic, I cleared out a fuck ton of my backlog. I went through.
That's one good thing you can get out of this fucking year.
I'll do two things. The game I would say I played the most was definitely Master Chief Collection on PC this year. That and like Warzone, because as every Halo was coming out to PC, I did a legendary run through by myself. And God, Halo 2's legendary run through on solo took so fucking long.
Yeah,
because those goddamn jackal snipers that one shot you.
Yep.
I'm like, what is this nonsense?
Yep. And they also that one also has the is the worst offender when it comes to like battle arenas that you're stuck in forever.
Yep.
Because Halo 2 was the game that they just needed to like they crunched the hell out of and barely got it out in time, and then had to cut half of the game and then put that in Halo 3 because they tried to do way too fucking much and they had to redo a bunch of shit. So then they just padded it out with fucking battle arenas that take forever and are hellish. But yeah, definitely good times.
I would say my most enjoyable game on my backlog was Sekiro. That was a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Did that come out this year? Or
last year?
That it won Game of the Year last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, and Jacob, I mean, it sounds like maybe yours was just Persona 4 Golden, but I don't know if
no,
you have any
it
other...
wasn't. I tricked you. I actually didn't play as much Persona 4 Golden as I let on, but I still think it's probably the best one. But anyway, this incorporates a lot of different games because some of these games did come out this year, but I played a lot of them even when I didn't think that they were the best this year. I played Yakuza 0 this year. That game slaps. I already mentioned Paradise Killer. The MMOs, I picked up Final Fantasy 14 for a little bit. I placed it back down for the meantime. Subscription model is no work in 2020. That's the hot take I have. Stop making me pay $15 a month.
You just give them your credit card.
No.
It works. I mean, that
no,
works.
$15 a month. I have things like rent to pay. Sorry.
And also, you can just get Xbox Game Pass and get 1 million games for the same price.
I know, but that's the thing. Is the Game Pass, I'm like, oh, that's a subscription model that gives me things rather than allows me to continue playing the base game I've already signed up to play. Which brings me to my second game, which is Star Wars: The Old Republic, which I still love and I play way more than Final Fantasy 14 this year. That is because that game slaps and also has a system where the only reason for me to pay $15 a month is if I want the actual like late game content now. Because if you've ever had a subscription to that game, they just give you that shit and have you able to access it for the rest of the time you're playing. So that's great. I like that model. I also like that game. XCOM Chimera Squad. I already said that. Sorry, I'm rushing through because we're over time and I want to get through my list as fast as possible. XCOM. Already talked about XCOM. XCOM's great. I love XCOM. What a fun group of boys and girls. They're all cute and non-binary because some of them are aliens with no gender. Super Mega Baseball 3. This is a sleeper hit from this year. Namely, see what I did there? It's baseball when I said hit. Not the best game this year, but I just was craving a sports game, and I was like, give me the baseball, baby. I missed Super Mario Sluggers, so just give me something I can play.
Is it like Super Mario Sluggers? Like, what is it? Just baseball?
It's just baseball. It's just baseball. It's a little cartoony, but it's better than MLB The Show. So I decided to play it. It's also cheaper than the mainline games, so I was like, yeah, just give it to me. Among Us, of course, 999. Ooh, 999. Probably the best game I played this year, all the way through. I love 999. You kids like numbers. That's what that game's about.
What is it? Is it just
look up the Nonary game, Nick?
The Nonary game?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Or you can click on the right-hand side where it says 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Because that's what the game's about. It's about 9 hours, 9 persons, and 9 doors.
Oh, it's a DS game. Did you play this on the DS?
No, it came out on PC. There's a PC remaster version. It fucking slaps. It's really good. It's generally probably one of my favorite games I played this year, and it's a puzzle/visual novel game. And I don't know. It does very cool things with the format that I was like, oh shit, this is a great way in order to implement and actually make me play through a game. It's kind of funny. I think about this game a lot more in line with something like Nier Automata than other visual novels.
Wow.
Which is a strange comparison, but if you play through the game, you'd understand. I can't really explain more because then it spoils anything, and I don't want to spoil this game because any spoiler kind of ruins it. I do suggest playing with a guide, though. There's a guide that tells you the best order of endings to get. And I agree with that guide. That guide was very helpful.
Not necessarily giving away the puzzles, but like just which
yeah,
order
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah.
them in. Okay.
I think the guide comes along with the possibility of giving away the puzzles, but for the most part, it'll tell you here are the number of endings. Here's the order of endings I recommend you getting them in.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So those are a ton of cool games that.
Oh, sorry. I have two more.
Okay.
I just looked back at my list. I apologize. I played a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn. That
one.
game is the most 5 out of 10 game I've ever played.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. Hot take. Everyone's favorite Horizon Zero Dawn. Kind of sleepy.
So why did you keep playing it?
Because I wanted to beat it. Because I wanted to show that I had an opinion on the game and that I had experienced the entire thing, so that I can be like, "Wow, this game is pretty okay."
So you played yourself, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I did play myself, and then my last one was Total War Troy, which I think also came out this year. But I got it for free, and I played a lot of it because it was for free.
Yeah, that's a neat thing. Yeah, the whole idea of like different like conceptions of the Battle of Troy, like
Yes.
you can do like the Trojan horse version, or just like all this different stuff. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it was very fun. It's a lot more narrative focused than other Total War games, but that's what made it fun. I think just because the limitations of the map and the overworld map and the play style itself, I didn't play as much of it as like other Total War games. But it was still a fun experience. I'm sure I sunk plenty of hours because Total War was one of those game series where I, finished playing one of the entries and I'm like, yeah, I definitely had fun. I'm going to check how much time I spent in this. And I'm like, oh shit, I spent way longer in Total War than I thought.
Yeah. Sometimes that's a sign of a good game, I think. One that you can just lose yourself in and you're like, oh my God, it's 100 hours later. So yeah, there's a lot of good games from a lot of different years that helped us get through this fuckwad of a year. I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot that I also listed that we should talk about most anticipated games. So I don't have a list for that one personally. I just Googled 2021 games and I'm just looking at them now. I don't know if you guys have any concrete ones that you want to call out. Like I said, don't put Cyberpunk in there. I don't care if it's coming out like after Game Award deadline or whatever. Everybody's looking forward to that game. Honestly, it'd be hilarious if it fucking fails.
Usually, yeah, it's hard. I don't know. I mean, I just forget like game release dates and forget what's coming out a lot of the time. And honestly, a lot of times my favorite game of the year is one that I just sort of sneaks up me and I just didn't know about.
Yeah.
I'm very curious, I would say. Maybe not anticipation is not the right word, but I'm immensely curious given what happened this year with Call of Duty with Treyarch being moved up in the release schedule and taking over some part of a Sledgehammer project, apparently.
Yeah.
What the heck is Call of Duty going to be next year? Like, what are they going to do?
Do they know who? Do we know who's helming it for this upcoming year? Do we even know? Or
if they took out Sledgehammer, it'd be Infinity Ward.
But yeah, but Infinity Ward just finished their game. Like, they haven't built a new game in a year. So like, is there another team a group of people at Sledgehammer who've been working on something while Treyarch was building a game off something they just did? So it's like
Call of Duty 3 Master. Call of Duty 3 Remaster.
Modern Warfare. Oh my God, if it's Modern Warfare 3 Remastered, that'll be...
No. Not Modern Warfare 3 Remastered. Call of Duty 3 Remastered.
That game's alright. You can play as the Canadians in that game. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was playing through Cold War, and I do secretly wish that they would remaster the campaign for Call of Duty 2. And I know it makes me sound like a hipster, but I do genuinely appreciate that campaign a lot.
Good-ass campaign.
Call of Duty really 2, good.
Call of Duty 2 still holds up. You go back and play that now, you're like, this is good. Infinity Ward.
Call of Duty 2 is my first one. I love that.
Yeah, this is fucking great.
I guess my most anticipated game, just like a concrete one, is God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, I saw that was on the list. That's gotta be. I still need to fucking play.
If it comes out next year,
2017 or whatever.
So apparently they said it's further along in development than people actually think that it's going to be 2021. That Resident Evil Village.
Oh yeah, Village. I'm very excited for Village. I forgot to add that I played Resident Evil 7 this year.
Oh, 7's phenomenal.
That would have been up there. 7, real good time.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting that they've got this like 1-2 combo with the Resident Evil series where they can release the remasters of the old games and then have another team be working on like the next installment or whatever. right? It's the
right,
same series, right? Because Resident Evil 3 Remake was the one on the Game Awards list for this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and now they're doing Village, which is 8. Is that
Yep.
because
Yes.
Biohazard was 7? Okay. Yeah. So they've got a really good system in place. I think like if they want to, they could just put out the. It seems like they're just putting out the remaster and then the new game, and then if they keep going, it'll just keep going in that cycle, and that seems like a great way to keep people invested in the series. So curious to see
I just remembered coming out in January. That Hitman 3.
Oh
yeah, Hitman 3. I have that on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, looking at this
IO
list, I
has been
think
knocking it out of the park with those Hitman games.
Yeah, the ones that really stand out to me, I think the most, just because I feel like out of all of these, I feel like I've seen the most of it is Deathloop. Deathloop seems like
Deathloop's also on my list.
Yeah, that looks cool.
In
Arcane
the
makes
style
cool stuff as well.
of so that perfectly makes sense. And we were just playing fucking Dishonored on Thursday, and it seems very it's an arcade game, so definitely enjoy that style of game, and curious to see how it is multiplayer, right? The two people are like fighting each other in any given
One invades.
Right. Okay, so it's like an invasion mechanic, which seems cool. So I'm curious to see how that turns out. We've seen next to jack shit about Hogwarts Legacy. If they do make a good Harry Potter game,
yikes!
I would.
Big Yuckarinos, I agree, Beekman.
Look,
boy, rough time to be that development team.
It was also rough because the trailer dropped at the exact same time all that was going down. So you're like,
hasn't it been going on for a while? Like, hasn't all the
but
it really intensified at a certain period where like her new book came out, which was very clearly like a weird polemic about trans people, and then there was like, well, here's a trailer for a new Harry Potter game that people don't want to give money to because they don't want to enrich J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's fucked.
I don't know. I still hope that it could be a good Harry Potter game, but yeah.
I have no doubt that it could be a good game. It's just like it is caught up in a larger.
I mean, the studio behind it is great.
Well. Who's making it?
Yeah.
Avalanche, the people behind Just Cause.
But wasn't Just Cause 4 big duty? And also Just Cause 3 was kind of like, eh.
If you talk to console players, yes. If you talk to PC players, no.
Like I guess I should say I did enjoy Just Cause 3. It was basically just more of Just Cause 2 with some better.
Those games are bad. I just heard they were just mechanics. Like it was a little diminishing returns of like they're not really doing too whole lot.
Did you? It's the same thing as like the Ubisoft Far Cry stuff.
Far Cry 5 is a perfectly competent video game, but it's like
more Far Cry.
Yeah, we've been doing this since Far Cry 3, so what's going on?
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, a way of me saying I'm probably not anticipating Far Cry 6.
Far Cry 6 I am anticipating just because of the villain, the actor, Giancarlo Esposito.
Perhaps more interesting. And the setting, I think, sounds more interesting of like this Banana Republic dictatorship and the milquetoast shit they tried to do for fucking Far Cry 5. I am preparing myself for me to be curved yet again this year at no announcement of a Splinter Cell game because down Ubisoft.
It's not gonna happen.
You know what you do have?
Personal vendetta
you
against
you have Stalker 2 that is apparently coming out in 2021.
Stalker 2 is not coming out in 2021.
Yeah, it's not good.
Do you know how? Bro, Stalker 1 was announced in 2001. When did that game came out? 2007. Okay.
No. Oh no.
Duke Nukem Forever fans used to joke about that Duke Nukem Forever was going to come out before Stalker 1, and the funny joke is that they released 3 Stalker games before Duke Nukem Forever came out. But yeah, that was I do not believe that game is coming out next year until it is on a store shelf. It is on a Steam download. It is being downloaded onto my computer.
The only other ones I saw from that list that might have been notable for any of you guys, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
I was excited for that, but then I heard about all the stuff happening at the studio, and I was like, oh no, here we go again. Woo!
What's been happening at the studio?
Development hell?
Oh.
It's development. Well, it's development hell and other things.
Yeah, so first of all, the company who's making it, Hardsuit Labs, Like they don't really have any experience like making this. Like they're the Blacklight Retribution people, so they've made multiplayer shooters primarily.
Okay.
For that, I think. And so they're making this first-person kind of RPG game. And so there's a lot of excitement because like, oh, people really like the first game. It's a cult classic, and they brought the original designer, and also they brought Cara Ellison, who's a former games journalist and writer. She worked on Dishonored 2. She worked on a number of games. She worked on Void Bastards and a bunch of other stuff. She's very, very talented writer. And her the stuff she likes to write about and her themes and a lot of writing match very well with
the world.
Bloodlines 2. However, both those people have now been let go under weird under unknown circumstances. They've both been not involved in the project anymore, and the project's been delayed, and it's looked rough at press demos during, back when, we had those, back when gaming events happened, back when people could meet in real life.
I know it got delayed indefinitely, but I really hope Dying Light 2 comes out 2021, because Dying Light 1 was a great game.
What the hell happened to that game?
They just said they need more time.
Yeah, apparently the labor conditions inside that studio are not great. And also there's the whole dust up thing because Chris Avellone had that whole shit happen with the sort of the huge game industry summer of just like a lot of these allegations and a lot of these instances of abuse and sexual assault and stuff, and a lot of that was levied at him. So a number of projects he was involved in had to say we're distancing enough. Anything he worked on is not going to be in the game. So I'm sure that absolutely also affected their development, along with COVID and
everything else.
I'll note a quick couple ones before we end. Halo Infinite. God, I know it's in development hell. I just have a slimmer of hope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's in hell. I just think I don't know.
Oh no, it's in hell with their third creative director lost. It's in hell.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Oh god, Dragon Age 4 might have been coming out in 2021.
Dragon Age 4 was not coming out next year, Nicholas.
No. Hey, guess what? Jeff Keighley confirmed that they are showing more Dragon Age at Game Awards. So.
What a time to be doing that.
They'll show
another cinematic trailer like they did the last time
showed
they teased.
Death Stranding trailers at the Game Awards for 3 years before they finally came out.
Yeah, I was about to say they're going to show up. It'll just be a still picture of Solus with today's newspaper on it to prove that he's alive.
Oh God.
I want to toss out a couple more before we wrap up. Near Replicant could come out next year. Excited
Near Replicant version 1.42, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, look, he's a madman. What can you say? He's actually insane. But Near Automata, very good. I've been meaning to go back to Near Original, but even my friend who's played all of the Near games is like, you don't have to. It's okay. There's 12 Minutes, that indie game that looked really cool, which looks like kind of like that game Minute, where the game re-loops every time and you try and get a different ending.
It's got a good cast now. It's got Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, and Willem Dafoe voicing.
Damn, that's a lot of money.
I got that.
Where'd they get that?
I got that. I think it isn't Annapurna putting out that game.
It could be Annapurna. I can't. You're probably right. That does sound like an Annapurna. It just seems like an Annapurna game first off, and also that does make sense with the actors that it secretly has had the Annapurna money behind it the entire time.
Game and more of a suite of games, but this year saw sort of the bringing back of Microprose, the name Microprose at least, which is a classic PC game publisher. Published some of my earnest childhood favorites.
What did they make?
They made a lot of shit, my friend.
They made Transport Tycoon. They've made UF.
A number of Sid Meier's games they published.
Oh, okay.
But they were really, for me, they made a lot of great military war games and simulators and strategy games, and they are doing a bunch of that stuff. A number of games like Sea Power, Naval Power in the Cold War, Regiments, which is sort of a spiritual successor to one of my favorite games, the War Game franchise. And so I'm just excited that kind of game is coming. those games are coming back, and Microprose is doing stuff. And also a game called, it's been in development for a while, and I think I'm hopeful it's coming out next year. I'm not sure, but it's a game called Burden of Command, which is a World War II sort of tactics RPG, sort of. Not, RPG is perhaps the wrong word, but it's a tactics game, but it incorporates a lot of RPG style choices because you are the leader of a infantry company, serving, through I forget the exact division, but they put you in they create a fictional infantry company in a historical unit called the Cotton Balers, who served in North Africa, Sicily, Italy, and France. Like, they had a long tenure in the European theater. So you'll be like making decisions, and like you have a persistent group of soldiers under your command named, and like you'll be making decisions like to try and like survive the war, like get as many of your guys home as possible. So I think it's an interesting take on sort of the war game genre, when a lot of times it's like these guys are just numbers in a unit card, stats, this attack, like ranged.
Make it more personalized. Make it more.
With this, yeah.
For more of a bond.
So. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Sounds cool. Well.
I got a couple more, just real quick.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Real quick. I'm gonna make it fast. I promise.
Pop them off.
All right, Rune Factory 5. Oh boy, I love Rune Factory. All right, next one. Blood Bowl 3. Oh boy, I love Blood Bowl 2.
Yeah.
My last one is Elden Ring. Haha, funny joke. I literally wrote that in my notes.
Oh, you could only imagine.
All right, that's the end of my list. I promise. I swear.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like a year where there might be some sleeper indie hits. Like, thinking through the things we've talked about. I guess Psychonauts 2 might also be a big one. But like overall, the biggest tentpole I see on this list that we didn't even talk about is Far Cry 6. Probably because we know that it's just going to be more Far Cry, and we'll see how well that does.
Yeah.
It got delayed indefinitely right now.
Oh shit! Okay, damn.
Yeah, they pushed it in quarantine out of. So it's like technically slated for Q2 2021. So like any time after March.
Gotcha. But it might get pushed further, so that's interesting.
Yeah, like at this point, even though they had that, with all the the more stuff, all the shit that went down this summer about conditions at Ubisoft,
right?
They've said they want to change
restructuring might be occurring.
Their editorial board system, which has perhaps led to a lot of Ubisoft games being very
the same,
homogenized.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I'm not sure that's going to affect projects that are less than a year out from coming out, really.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, a lot of games that we maybe anticipate we won't know until the Game Awards airs and they play some nice trailers for us.
Oh yeah, there could be new stuff. Like
next year around the time when E3 would happen, and we do another round of, hey, it's E3 but it's virtual.
If they do, if nothing bad happens, the fucking Persona 5 Scramble or whatever, Strikers, that's apparently coming out in 2021, so that's probably very up there for me. But yeah, there might be some new drops. Do you think they're? We'll end the podcast, but yeah, we'll just have to wait to see what happens on Wednesday, right? Is that what
Thursday at 6:30, and it's gonna be 4 hours long.
Are you shitting me?
What is this fucking WrestleMania now?
Jeff Keighley announced that it's gonna be 4 hours.
Jeff, we don't need 4 hours.
With a shit ton of announcements and awards.
I hope there's some fucking announcements. They better not be like,
instead of being like, oh, this game won, like then moving on to the next trailer.
Yeah.
Hey, they're just gonna say Cyberpunk won all the categories. Sorry, we tricked you.
Surprise! It's Cyberpunk. It's all Cyberpunk.
It's all trailers for the rest of it.
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves just stands off stage doing cross chops like, yeah.
I really just hope they don't pull another fucking Fast and Furious to end the show.
I hope they do.
All right. To be clear, if I remember correctly, that wasn't their fault. Like their big, I think their last thing was going to be like a big, like supposed to be a big thing, and then they like pulled out at the last second. So.
Maybe.
Like the schedule
it was supposed to be Half-Life, I think.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
Half-Life Alyx or Half-Life?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Rip. Yeah, okay. That would have been...
Were you going to say Half-Life 3? Half-Life 3 is not happening, okay? I hate to break it
Half-Life 3 2021. It's coming, guys. They're not dead.
If anything, Half-Life 3 might be a VR game.
Yeah.
I think they made Half-Life 3. It's called Half-Life Alyx. So yeah, we got some VR stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Keep talking. Figure out what you guys thought were good opinions or bad opinions. Hop in the Discord. Talk it out if you want to.
All my opinions are good, Marky.
Yeah.
Come on.
All opinions are great.
They know
all
this.
other opinions
The listeners
are
out there know this.
But until next week or whenever next I see y'all, thanks for watching and peace out.
Wow.